Hello, this is Miss Kyler, and here are your instructions for your research paper. This type of paper is going to be a methods and results paper. So the purpose of this paper is going to be to discover, analyze, and reflect on trends in society in regards to their associations with a specific abstract concept. Remember, an abstract concept is something that you cannot perceive with your senses, something like hope, happiness, trust, something that we can only think or feel with our emotions, but we can't really see, touch, or feel or hear it. So the first thing that you'll do is choose the abstract concept that you think will reveal something interesting about society. So the one you want to write about. So for example, you can choose happiness, beauty, love, freedom, leadership, cooperation, any other concept that you think would be interesting to see what society thinks about it. So the next thing you'll do is before you start researching, make a note of your assumptions. This is your hypothesis. For example, when I look for trends in regards to the term happiness, I expect to find that society associates happiness with money. The next thing you'll do is look for trends and results from a search engine search. So you'll go choose a search engine that you want to use, type the word into the first search engine that you chose, and then what you'll see is you'll find all the results that actually come up, and you'll peruse all of those and kind of categorize them in your mind about what types of things you're seeing and then what patterns and associations you have with those. Think about how many of a certain type of source you're seeing, or what percentages of these results are articles or are blogs or definitions, and how many of those articles are related to a certain concept. For example, if I'm looking at beauty, I may come up, you look down and you see, oh, there's 300,000 results. I'm not going to look at all 300,000 results, but I'll scroll through the first 3 or 4 pages and kind of get an idea of where it's going. So I may look at the first 40 or 50 results. Out of those, how many are related to our beauty tutorials, or how many are articles, or how many are blogs, and then how many of the beauty tutorials are depicting white women or women with lighter skin or young women or older women, and how many of the articles are related to a similar concept or are related to health or related to psychology. So you kind of generalize and categorize what you're finding. You'll definitely want to make sure you take notes as you're looking at these. So repeat this research with different search engines for comparison. So you may find different results when you look in Yahoo versus Google, for example. And then you'll take a note. Did you find more results? Are you seeing the same associations? For example, if I'm looking at beauty, do I see it mostly linked with the idea of youth and makeup, or with health, or with nature? What am I seeing a lot of? And then you can look at specifically for images. So ignore images that are too simplistic, maybe just the word happiness on it, or just a little signpost pointing this way to happiness, or just a little stick figure. Look for ones that actually suggest something about society. For example, if you're looking at beauty, do you notice that a lot of the images show women's faces? Are most of those women skinny white women with lots of makeup, or do they seem like more of a variety of different types of women? If you see women of color, are they mostly lighter skinned women of color, or do you see a good cultural mix of different types of women? Do you see any men? Do you see mostly younger men or younger women? So kind of think about, what is this suggesting? Is the society think about youth? When they think about beauty, do they think of makeup, that you have to actually cover up your face in order to be beautiful? Make sure you take note of results, how many of all the results you're looking at show a certain commonality. Okay, so first of all, you'll have your introduction, and in your introduction, make sure you're answering these questions. When you first started this project on this specific concept, what did you expect you would find? What was your hypothesis? Did the results agree with your original hypothesis? Was there anything surprising about the results? What steps did you take to research societal associations in regards to this concept? In other words, a little snapshot or a little summary of your methods. What did you find overall? A little summary of the results you found. Thesis statement then. you'll follow this example. A preliminary search of the term blank through various search engines suggests that society associates blank with the concept of blank. For example, a preliminary search of the term beauty through various search engines suggests that society associates youth and makeup with the concept of beauty. So after you have your introduction, then you'll write your first body paragraph. Your first body paragraph is going to be where you describe your methods. So this is the specific steps you took. Be very detailed in describing what you did when conducting this research. The first step I took was to make sure you take note of all the details, very specifically what you did, how you typed the word into the search engine, which search engine you chose, what notes you took in your journal as you were finding the research, how many results you actually considered, how many pages you scrolled through. Be very specific. And if you tried a different search engine, make sure you tell all the different search engines you did and what you did for each of the different search engines. The second body paragraph is going to be where you describe your results. This is where you're going to tell me in detail what you found. This is where you may actually include the table showing the percentages of how many results were definitions, how many were articles, how many were advertisements. Make sure that if you do include the table, you also include the description. So very important that you describe the data, and then you could present it visually as well. But always include both. If you're going to include the table, make sure you also include the description. If you're not going to include the table, make sure you're very detailed in the data that you found. Also explain how many of the results you scrolled through had a similar focus. For example, if you were researching the concept of beauty, how many of the results were beauty tutorials, how many were showing younger women, how many were white women, how many were young men, how many were depicted older women, etc. How many of the results were articles? So of these articles, how many were dealing with health? How many were dealing with psychology? Were there any specific titles that stood out to you? And how many were tips on how to be beautiful with one's significant other? So be very detailed about how you categorized your results and what they revealed about society. So you're going to talk more specifically about the results in the third body paragraph. And this is where you're actually going to choose 2 or 3 representational images and 2 or 3 representational articles from your search and describe them in detail. So for the 2 images that you see, maybe both of them are showing women with makeup. You would describe exactly what that makeup looks like, anything in the background that's important, if it's a black background, a white background, a colorful background in somebody's room, what colors stand out, anything, is a woman, what does she look like, is it a head and shoulder shot, very specific about what you see. For the articles, you'll actually tell me the title of the article, what the article focuses on, how it relates to the results that you're finding, and include some quotes that seem to represent the focus of the article. Make sure you cite those quotes. Include the parenthetical citation after each quote or paraphrase you take from the articles. Make sure you have a topic sentence and a concluding sentence. So your topic sentence and your concluding sentence will not be quotes. You always want to start and end a paragraph with your own voice. So here's some example of in-text parenthetical citation for articles, and you'll see later on I'm going to allow you either to use APA or MLA. If you use APA, the important thing is the name of the person and the year that the article was posted or published. So according to the first article, beauty is ageless, something that we revise as we discover who we really are at each stage of our lives. And then I would put the parentheses, the last name of the author, comma, and the year, 2018, period. If you do not have an author's name available, include a shortened title of the article and the year that the article was published. So example, in the second one, I actually included in quotation marks beauty today and the comma and the year. So in your citation, you'll have a signal phrase, according to blah, 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 your quote, and then the citation. In MLA, we also use in-text parenthetical citation for the articles, but this time it's more the author's last name and the page number or the paragraph number that we care about in MLA. So for this one, if you're going to use MLA, according to the first article, blah, 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 and then I have parentheses, Jones, space, 3, so 3 being the page number. Without page numbers, if there's none available, I would just use the paragraph number, and I would indicate that with the word para.3. That's paragraph 3. If the author's name not available, again, you'll include a shortened version of the title. Here I put Beauty Today in quotation marks, and then I cited it from paragraph 3. So the last paragraph in your paper will be the conclusion, and this is where you'll sum up the methods you took to discover what the society associates with this concept. You'll make a little summary of your results, what you found. Don't use the specific data, but you can use like the words like most of the results, or half of the results, or a quarter of the results suggested or showed or were, etc. Sum up what the images in the articles conveyed. Compare results to your original hypothesis, so what you thought versus what you actually found. And what did your research reveal about society? Does it show us that it's a very greedy society? Is it a youth-focused society? Is it a health-conscious society? Is it a society that's concerned with mental disorders? What did you find out about society? And remind the reader that this is just a preliminary cursory study, and recommend what future research should do to verify or gather more information on this concept and how it is perceived by society. You can do that just by simply writing the words future research should consider, and then fill in what you think the future research should do. Finally, your last page should be your works cited or references page. If you're doing APA, you'll be using a references page. If you're doing MLA, you're going to be doing a works cited page. So you'll cite the 2 or 3 articles that you quoted from, put them in alphabetical order. If you're using APA, you'll title it references. If you're using MLA, you'll title it works cited. Here's an example of APA article citation. Titled it references. I have my hanging indent. It's last name of the author, first name, and any other authors included. The year the article was published. Give a date and also include that. The title of the source, and then retrieved from, and then you have your URL. For MLA, you title it works cited. If you don't have an author's last name, you'll just start with the title and quotation marks, the site that the article is from, the date it was published, if it's available, and then you have the URL, and then accessed, and then the date it was accessed, that you actually went and looked it up. If you do have an author's last name, you put last name first, title in quotation marks, web page you found it on, the URL, and then the date you accessed it. You'll actually write the word accessed, and then the day, month, and year. So in order to do the hanging indent, if you notice all of them have that hanging indent where the first line sticks out and the last lines are tucked in. First, you just type up all your citations on the works cited or your reference page. Select all. You can do this by clicking Control and A at the same time. Go to Paragraph up at the top and click the corner for more options. Under Special, choose Hanging, and then after you save that, you go back, your list should now have a hanging indent. So overall requirements, make sure you follow instructions. I presented these for a purpose. I want you to follow these instructions so you have a very good methods and results paper. Use MLA or APA format, whichever one you want, but be consistent with whichever one you choose. I would choose the one that you feel the most comfortable using. You need to have at least 5 paragraphs, so you'll have an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Use correct parenthetical citation after all quotes, and include a correctly formatted works cited / reference page. Use Times New Roman 12-point font, double line space. First line of each paragraph should be indented. Make sure each paragraph is well developed. You should have at least 5 sentences for your intro and 5 for your conclusion, and at least 8 sentences for each body paragraph. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.